India has dismissed allegations from Canada linking Home Affairs Minister Amit Shah to plots targeting Sikh separatists on Canadian soil. New Delhi apparently slamming the accusation as very weak and flimsy. Now, Canadian Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister David Morrison told members of Parliament Mr Shah was behind the plots, but Canada has yet to release any evidence of the claim. An Indian government source says they were alerted by Canada the allegations against Mr Shah in October last year. Those accusations have since led to the expulsion of diplomats in both countries. And for more on this, we're joined now by Ishan Garg, reporting live from New Delhi. Ishan, sources indicating that India does not expect the allegations to cause any trouble for Amit Shah or the government, but could there still be repercussions for the Indian minister and the government?
Well, we're very unlikely to see any action on Prime Minister's very close personal aide, Mr Shah, who is also Interior Minister of the country and who many would call the second most powerful man in the country as well. So we are very unlikely to see any action against him. But what it does say that India-Canada ties are in uncharted waters as of now. There were allegations leveled against Mr. Amit Shah when a Washington Post article came out saying that the orders to allegedly kill Sikh separatist leader Hardeep Singh Nijjar came directly from him. But Canadian officials now confirming that it was them who had leaked that information to Washington Post has made that claim sort of official, saying that Canada is backing that intelligence up. And that's where we get into uncharted waters, because naming India's High Commissioner to Canada as persons of interest in the murder investigation of Nijjar was one thing, but now saying Mr. Amit Shah might be involved, that's a whole other ball game. And many experts have said that that's going to possibly deteriorate India-Canada ties even further. We have not yet heard an official response from the Indian government yet, but they are likely to condemn these latest statements made by the Canadian officials. And some experts would say that we could probably see more diplomatic tensions building between the two countries. What form that would take, that remains to be seen.
While we wait for the response, Ishan, this is not the first time that India has been accused of targeting separatists abroad. Now, the US also charged a former intelligence officer in a Sikh assassination plot. But why is Delhi's response to the US and Canada different?
Well, there are several reasons for it. First of all, the way India's ties work with the US and the way they work with Canada, they are vastly different. Many experts would say that India and US have a lot closer partnership, which goes all the way from their strategic and political ties, but also to some level of intelligence sharing as well. That's not the sort of relationship India has with Canada. So India's response has been different to US in that way, because India, it's believed that worked with the US officials behind closed doors, both sides sharing investigation details, both sides sharing intelligence, which has now resulted in two Indian people being charged. One was Nikhil Gupta, who was arrested in the Czech Republic, and now another former Indian government official being charged by US federal prosecutors. But when it comes to Canada, experts also say that the way the Canadian government has reacted to the allegations, the way it made them public very early on, that has soured the relationship, which made it very difficult for the two countries, India and Canada, to cooperate among themselves. And that's why we are seeing this sort of two different kinds of paths being taken by New Delhi when it deals with Ottawa and when it deals with Washington.
Ishan, thank you. Ishan Garg there, reporting live from New Delhi. And Vivek Mishra, Deputy Director of Strategic Studies Program at the Observer Research Foundation, explains how big this latest accusation is and if there's any possibility of a reconciliation between New Delhi and Ottawa.
I think the allegations and accusations are pretty wild and big, because it directly points finger at India's sitting Home Minister. So I think it's big in the sense that it is leading up to the top. But to my mind is, when there is a dissonance between the Indian side and the Canadian side when the question of evidence arises. I mean, it seems odd to me. Why will India say that they have no evidence the Canadians have no evidence, and the Canadian side says they have evidence. And clearly, if Canada really has evidence, either it's not admissible in the court of law, or it's not been shared, because there's clearly a gap between the two narratives. So I think this accusation on India's Home Minister is big and is really bad for bilateral relationship. I think it'll be very difficult to achieve an off-ramp from here, because clearly the Canadians have decided to go in a certain way, and it ties intrinsically with Mr. Trudeau's domestic politics, because if you've seen in the last 1 month alone, he has 20 odd MPs from his party asking him to step aside. There's a clear domestic pressure and because the NDP, which is a pro-Khalistani party in Canada, has actually stopped conversations on these issues and pulled out the plug on the ruling party, on the Liberal Party. So I think there's a great domestic strain in Canada, which is spilling over to the bilateral external relations, which is really sad. On the people-to-people relations and the business investments, etc., I think they continue as normal. I don't think the channels themselves are stopped. But when it comes to political and diplomatic relations, I'm afraid that's not increasingly looking so optimistic, because an off-ramp from here, when you accuse a sitting home minister of a different country of taking of being involved in an act like that, then achieving an off-ramp from here will be very difficult. So I think it's politically and diplomatically, the expulsion of diplomats, etc., have taken the relationship to a new low. And I think getting back to the old days will take some time, especially I think it'll take a government change in Canada next year, which is extremely looking likely with Pierre Poilievre, the Conservative Party, much ahead of the Liberal Party in Canada. Maybe that's an olive branch which we are all looking for. But on other aspects of relationships, like business and people to people, they continue as normal.